So I'm in Bemidji, Minnesota, which is a small town of about 16,000 people. It's kind of a resort town. There's a big lake, Lake Bemidji here, and a state park on the northeast corner. And we're kind of in the downtown area right now, which is on there's the lake, this is the southeast corner of this big lake. And I'm here because I had done some Google searches of the most dangerous cities in Minnesota because I was going to be here, and on a couple of the lists, Bemidji pops up as the most dangerous city in the state. And I'm thinking, how is it more dangerous than Minneapolis? And I'm like, this is a city I got to go see. And when people use different standards or different statistics for deciding what makes a city dangerous, and those other ones that I was seeing must have included overall crime and not just violent crime. Because if you look at the numbers here, if you use overall crime, it's higher than Minneapolis, but if you use just violent crime, it is not. So this is, again, like I said, this is a population of 16,000, and it's like rising quickly, 16,000. We're gonna go through this downtown area. I just saw it and almost cut that person off. They got this cute little overhead area here. You can see the lake still. We're right by the lake, is right here. It's a pretty good sized lake. I mean, it's got to be a couple miles across. So it's 74% white here, 10% Native American, 3% Hispanic, and 2% black. So it's kind of diverse, I guess. They don't really have a lot of murders here. They have one every few years, but they don't really have them like every year. It would skip like every 2-3 years there'd be one. Yep, honk. But since 2020, the assaults have been in the like 400s per 100,000 people. Their assault rate is in the 400s. And for perspective on that, well, this is actually a cute city. Let's go up this way. For perspective on that, Chicago is in the 500s. So the assaults are here in the 400s, Chicago's in the 500s, but Minneapolis is in the 600s to 700s. So if you look at violent crime strictly, like if I was rating this city in Minnesota, I wouldn't put it as high as some of these other people had. But if you look at, if you look at the forced sexual assaults, Bemidji, this city is higher than Minneapolis. So there are statistics in which it is higher, but this is basically a cute little resort kind of town. And it's not something you would think of when you're thinking about violent crime. But I did talk to somebody who said that north of here, where we're at right now, and I'm gonna try and head up that way and see if I can find the area, is it the area where the bad stuff is. But I'm gonna kind of drive through this downtown a little bit just because it's kind of cute and I kind of want to see it. So if you look at total crime here, like looking at property crime and violent crime, overall crime, it's 268% worse than the national average. Now you have to keep in mind that it's kind of a resort type place, so they have a lot of people that come in here that are probably skewing the numbers a little bit because the population is like 16,000 and they have a lot of visitors, which can skew the numbers a little bit. But 268% worse is really bad. That's like where you start. It's really iffy is what I would call that. Very iffy of a area. But the violent crime itself is only 77% worse, which Minneapolis is 179% total, and their violent crime is 232% higher. So for violent crime, Minneapolis is significantly worse. St. Paul's in around 100% higher. St. Paul is what I would consider regular city bad levels. Minneapolis is much worse, and this is not quite as, well, this is probably regular city bad levels, but on a lower end. Now we're coming out of this loop. I'm going to try and go north around the lake a little bit and see if we can find the area that they say all the trouble is coming from. But overall, if you include all crime, Minneapolis is 179% worse than the national average. So this being 268% worse, it's considerably worse when you look at overall crime. And that's what puts it in some of these lists as the most dangerous city in the state of Minnesota. And they've had a year-over-year crime. You can see Paul Bunyan. I think that story of Babe the Blue Ox and Paul Bunyan and all that, I think that originated here. I'd have to look that up, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that originated here. That whole story about where he chopped down the tree faster than that machine or something, whatever the story was. But the year-over-year crime is increasing here by 3%. And the population is growing fairly quickly for a city of this size. It's definitely on their increase. So I'm assuming that 3% of crime is coming with the population growth. And it looks like a really nice place where you'd want to bring your family and you just want to, you know, hang out and get on a boat and go out on the lake. So we got to see if we can find where all the bad areas are. Your odds of becoming a victim of a crime here are 1 in 12. So that's actually really bad. And that also goes to show when you go to these resort type places, they always feel really safe. That's like Ocean City, Maryland was really bad. That's really bad. And the people that live there, oh, it's just the visitors that come in. It's not the people that live here. And it's like, nonetheless, the crime is happening there, even if it's people coming in, you know. There's people from Chicago, in suburbs outside of Chicago, that the people from Chicago are the ones doing all the crimes. And it doesn't really make a difference who's doing it. It just matters that it's happening. But we'll go up here a little bit further and then maybe tuck into some of these houses and see if this actually starts looking like there's any bad area. The cost of living here is lower than the national average because it's kind of way out in the middle of nowhere. And the schools, the kids here, like 48% of the students graduate proficient at reading and math. And Minnesota as a state, 52%. So the schools are worse here than Minnesota state average, but they're exactly the same as what the national average is. So they're not too far out of the range. But the houses and everything look okay. But this goes to show you take like a state like Minnesota. If you removed Minneapolis from the state of Minnesota, Minnesota would be an extremely safe state. Because if this is the most dangerous thing, and I mean, I would walk down the street and not feel uncomfortable at all in any of the parts that we've been in so far. And we should be at about, there's Bemidji State University. We should be at about where they're saying the area is bad, because this is about the middle of the side of the lake is still just to the east there, just right on the other side of this. I bet this campus is nice if it butts right up to the lake like it looks like it probably does. Lake Bemidji State Park, straight ahead. Yeah, see, I mean, this is totally a resort town. Fire danger low. I mean, you're in the middle of like resort type areas. Okay, this should be the area that they're saying is bad in around here, which it doesn't look even bad at all. Now, so people are probably watching this and they're thinking this isn't a dangerous place, but A lot of places had it listed as very dangerous, the most dangerous in the United States. Or in the state of Minnesota. And you can do a Google search of it yourself. You'll see it pops up as the #1. I mean, even over Minneapolis, which I find crazy. I would have ranked it maybe 3rd behind Minneapolis and St. Paul if I was doing the ranking. But even still, you take a city that looks like this and rank it as 3rd in a state. It shows it's just that the city limits, when you're in the city limits of Minneapolis or St. Paul, or maybe even the surrounding first tier suburbs, once you get out of that, the worst place you can find is a resort town that's way up north and does not look at all dangerous anywhere that we've been. The other side of the lake, like I said, the other side of the lake is the state park, and there isn't a whole lot else here except what we're just driving through right now. So not the normal cities that I drive through, but when one is ranked that high on multiple websites as the worst in the state, as the worst in the state, I was gonna be here, so I kind of wanted to check it out. And it looks like a really nice place. Like I would come here to vacation. That's how nice this place looks. So I don't really have any more stats on the city because for the most part it's a good city. And like I said, if Minneapolis wasn't in the state of Minnesota, Minnesota would probably be one of the safest states in the country, because it's basically those crime stats that skew everything. Although some of the stats, like I said, the forced sexual assaults here are worse than Minneapolis. The assaults are lower. But I'm going to let this just play out for a little bit longer, and you can see a little bit more of Bemidji, Minnesota. But it's actually a place that, it looks like a nice place. Go to the state park, camp, rent a boat, go out, go do some fishing. I think they catch walleyes or something up here. Northern pike, whatever they have in northern Minnesota.